with this, I'm bringing on Grif from Centric Software. Grif is one of our newest software partners, and they actually have a very great system which allows you to house all of your information and house all your training and house all your quality standards. So with this, I leave Grif to tell you everything about Centric.
All right, I'm Grif Von Holst. I'm the Principal Product Manager for 3D at Centric Software. We are a PLM solution. So you've heard through the different discussions today a lot about the transparency, breaking down the silos, the single source of truth, and that's exactly what Centric PLM offers. And if we take a look at a little bit about Centric here, we have 620 plus customers and over 5,000 brands. So the speakers today have been talking about data inputs and information coming in and how important innovation um, and getting these new ideas and building a platform in order to scale all the way from concept into customer and track that data. We're able to do that within Centric. And as you see, these over the years, we're completely dedicated to this industry, and we have all of these amazing customers that are constantly providing input into Centric of which way the industry is going, how to best support them, and we're able to take all of these inputs from all of these customers like a huge, brain, and bring all of that information in and make solutions that fit multiple different categories and provide our customers the ability or a runway, I should say, to get from point A to point B, and then also deliver that as future options as our customers scale and grow. um, so one of the things that I really want to talk about today is about centralizing your 3D asset libraries and bringing all of that information into Centric. When I talk about 3D assets, it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it's really about the foundation of building product. So within Centric, we can manage all of your 3D assets from 3D materials. That includes the texture scans that may come in from some of our partners. It means Alvedon avatars, which is very exciting for us to be able to integrate those avatars and then facilitate those out to the different 3D design applications and really create this digital ecosystem where those libraries of those digital assets and that foundation can be coupled with PLM data. So if you have these assets that are sitting outside in all of these disparate systems or a shared drive or OneDrive or where you're pulling those in, you're missing out on a lot of information that's really about the development of the product. So if you think about 3D materials, which I'll go through a couple use cases here, those textures and physics information that's in there, if you store it on an external drive and you bring it into your 3D design application, you're missing potential costing information, supplier information, a lot of data that can be applied to these assets to generate different scenarios for your designers or be able to look at different data comparisons of maybe this material based on this supplier is too expensive. What's another like material with another supplier, and start to make these suggestions. And it pulls all of that information from the PLM solution and couples it with that 3D asset. So for us, it kind of lays the foundation for automation and limitless possibilities for how you want to use your data. Because if you have all of that information, but you can't apply it in a way that makes sense for your business, it's not really helping you. So at Centric, we make our PLM solution kind of the hub for all of these digital assets, and we plug them into all of these different solutions, making it a really powerful ecosystem for automation, AI product generation. If we go back to Chris's discussion about the merchants and buy plan and forecasting, we can manage all of that data through all of the different omni channels, including we have a 3D style, for example. We know what materials are on it. Through our various pipelines, we're able to actually generate options of those products and present it through different channels for customers to kind of give their feedback and continue to feed this overall pipeline. Um, so all of the different work streams that we enable through this leverages the information and asset libraries for 3D from style, color, material, sourcing, and we're able to pull all of that together um, within the solution and present it to our customers to make better decisions. So it helps us eliminate redundant tasks as well. So if you can imagine an ecosystem where you have Centric sitting at the base, you have all of your foundational libraries, all of your digital assets, and you start to plug in all of these different 3D design solutions from scanning solutions and start to feed that data into those. So here at Centric, we take an agnostic approach to 3D. We integrate with all 3D platforms, and we augment those digital assets as they flow into those different platforms. So it helps you make more informed decisions and then feed those through into ecom. So if we take a look at this digital product creation pipeline from your concept, your prototype, development, review, and market, we start to break down those silos to make sure that not just one department within the organization is benefiting from 3D, which is typically your design team with these great 3D design applications, and those are evolving all the time. But what we really want to do is take the power of 3D and expose it to the rest of the pipeline. So just like in the previous discussions, we talk about breaking down silos. We want the entire work stream all the way through development, the supply chain to be able to benefit and also contribute to 3D product development. So if we imagine this pipeline here, or really the foundation that underpins all of this. Centric, we have the concept, bringing in the 3D materials and assets from texture scans to physics. And it's not just for one type of 3D material. You have Clo, you have Browseware, you have Rhino, all sorts of 3D design applications that use different material standards and different texture scanning. You have Adobe Substance, which is phenomenal. Bringing that information and storing it, being able to apply additional information such as supplier information, or you can have your different construction or weight, anything that you want to further define this material and really couple that physical material with its digital twin and being able to facilitate that out into 3D design applications in the prototyping phase, so that you can start to leverage that PLM data through plugins. An example of this would be, you know, starting with a estimated cost based on the materials, and then while the designer is applying these different materials, doing a data comparison to see how much is this material going to cost, and is there something else in the PLM solution that would provide me with a better cost if I need to do any cost engineering. So it really brings together all of these assets to make better decisions. And then through your 3D development requests, you may not have the internal design capabilities or the talent internally. So Centric also provides interaction with suppliers. So you may want to outsource your supplier, your design from your suppliers, and they can respond back and communicate with your internal development team. They can post 3D assets for 3D visualization. We have a 3D viewer within our product. So they can upload different examples, different options, and then your internal teams can actually visualize those on our platform, make comments, collaborate back and forth with the suppliers so that they can make those revisions. And it starts to bring, those silos down to where not only do your 3D designers, if they're internal, or if your suppliers have 3D design that's external, being able to bring everybody together to visualize those 3D assets and collaborate and communicate and update those. So it starts to break down all of those different silos, all of those roadblocks, and really brings the power of 3D to everybody throughout the supply chain. So then once we have those different assets and we're leveraging them through the product, we're actually able to take those and move them through into different omni channels, such as posting them to e-commerce sites, different pipelines to generate photorealistic images off of those and post those back into Centric PLM. So it starts to bring in the automation portion, which is very important for why you would want your 3D assets to be stored inside of a single solution. Because as you start to build and mature through your 3D process, you can take these foundational items and actually use them for automation pipelines downstream. So an example of this, we have 3D material, we have the physics information, we have the texture information. And what we do is we bring those texture scans in from our different providers, like a Visu or a Swatchbook, for example, able to bring those texture scans into the Centric platform and store that against a material, but we also have physics information that can be stored with that as well. So that's where you get the combination of the textures, what the physics information is based on the 3D design application. You may have Browseware, you may have Clo, you may have Optitex. Each one of those has a different physics engine. And each one of those materials, for example, like a U3M material, which is a unified 3D material format, can be leveraged in certain applications, while maybe a Clo 3D material that's a ZFab can only be opened in Clo. It's very important to be able to organize those in a single system so that if you use multiple 3D design tools, such as a Browseware and a Clo together, or an Optitex and a Clo together, that when you're using these different integrations, that you can organize and categorize your 3D materials based on the 3D design application that you're going to use them in. Because if you do any searches for a 3D material and you're in Browseware or Optitex, and you you want to make sure that you filter out all of the ZFab files. So the Centric PLM solution, when we bring in 3D materials, we automatically understand where that file came from, and we start to organize it accordingly, put all of the physics information so that we know what application that this is going to be imported into and how it's going to be used. So in this example here, it's just really high level. We're able to augment, all of this information with PLM data. We're able to provide, visuals of these materials so that as people go through and search for materials that they want to use or upload materials, they can easily see what that material looks like, how it drapes, and get a good idea from maybe a material management perspective of, is this the right material? Does it look correct? Is the drape correct? And when I provide that to a designer to use, am I going to get, the right visual output or intent that I expected? So then it kind of brings us here to these avatars as another use case, and I really want to thank Alvanon for putting on this 3D Tech Fest and being able to share all of these ideas and really bring the community together so that we can all benefit from each other. So in Centric, we have an integration with Alvanon, which is very exciting. What we're able to do with these avatars, to take it a little bit further, is bring in these 3D avatars and augment those with more information. It's kind of the theme of this entire system of bringing in 3D assets, applying different information so that that asset becomes more universal and also more flexible throughout the entire system. So what we do with 3D avatars, as an example, is we bring those in and we also associate your measurement data to those. And by doing that, we can do a couple of things that are a few use cases, I should say. If you have an avatar that you're using and you have your associated size ranges, and that avatar is used on multiple styles, and let's say for an example that that style has a fit issue, or all of those styles that you've produced have a fit issue. By having all of this information from an avatar linked to measurements, linked to all of the different styles through your PLM solution, you have full traceability to understand, if I go back to that avatar, is there a problem with that avatar? Is there something that is an issue with the overall fit of that, and do I need to update that avatar? So it provides full transparency and traceability throughout the entire system of, how did I use this foundational asset? What did I apply to it to augment that data? And was there any issues with that? So that kind of brings us to this overall pipeline where we have Centric sitting at the bottom here, where you're managing all of these different 3D assets. Um, you're able to build on those assets with additional PLM data, and it really provides the ability to create this digital product creation pipeline. So over on the left here, we have all of these 3D assets, from materials to styles that you've created that you may have carryover product. Then you're able to bring those assets in and create different colorways. So in our 3D viewer, we're actually able to configure these products as well. So one of the things that Chris was talking about in 2 discussions ago was really about the merchandising and understanding what product is going to sell the best. So when you're forecasting and you're planning, if you have a line plan, for example, and you have certain amount of carryover product. And that carryover product, you may have a certain percentage of what you want to carry over in certain colorways. It's kind of your bread and butter. So for example, if you were to take that 3D asset from that previous style and identify what materials and colors that you wanted to use that in, all of that information is in your PLM solution already. The 3D asset from the style is there. The native 3D file is there that was used to design it. All of your materials are there. All of your colors are there. What that allows you to do is create an automation pipeline, which we have, that you can open up that 3D model in a server, for example, for automation. Open that 3D model, apply these different materials, apply these different colors, and start to automatically generate styles to be presented to the merchandising team or to the design team to choose from. Say, okay, does this look correct? Am I using the right colors for the palette? And then it starts to become more of a management of existing product as opposed to designing new product. And it allows your designers to really focus on newness instead of having to go through and generate these 3D assets for existing products. So part of what we offer within Centric as well is this 3D viewer that allows you to communicate back and forth, and even a product configurator to where you can try different material color combinations on the product to ensure that that's what you like and that's what you want to produce. So you can imagine if you have a line review, I'm sure many people that are on this call have been through a review session where you have your foam core board set up and you have all of your different silhouettes and you have your colors and you're reviewing this with your design and merchant teams, and you're making little sticky notes of the files that you need to go back and update and see in different colorways, and then you're fighting to find time on the calendar to review these things. When you have all of this information in the PLM solution, you can have these digital review sessions where you can show your entire line in a gallery view within the PLM solution and really take a look at, am I offering the right collection and the right color with the right prints? Is this, really the direction that I wanted to go with? And if you have data coming in from, trend information, or if you have information coming in from Seventh Online, for example, being able to take that information and kind of analyze, is this the right assortment for this season? And by having this information in a PLM solution and be able to interact with it in the way that we can with Centric, you can open up one of those 3D files, apply prints and pattern to it, change the color, see how it sits within the line, and do all of that in real time, and then align on the overall collection before you ask a designer to go back and open up a file and make a change and then have a review. You can do that in real time. So you can make those adjustments and you can make those approvals, and then you can push them out onto your e-com sites if you want to get more information. Maybe you want to crowdsource some things or generate some marketing content or generate more interest about the product before you decide which product that you're going to make. So what we're able to do here is really lay the foundation for endless opportunities of interaction with customers, interaction with different user bases, your different suppliers. If you have your suppliers that are generating this product for you, you can have them show you a subset of the product, and you can interact with it, make changes, make suggestions, and then work on that iterative process through the PLM solution directly with your suppliers instead of sending this information through email. Any changes that are made are stored immediately within the PLM solution, and that becomes your single source of truth of how, or I should say, what is the most recent thing, so that you don't have confusion of, well, I thought it was this, we made this change, oh, never mind, now this has been updated to this. Removes all of that confusion and really provides that single source of truth and that underpinning solution for the entire product lifecycle management, including the different planning solutions and beyond.
So for all questions that you actually have for Grif, there's actually quite a few of those in the comments section, Grif. So I would really like to invite you to go and answer them in YouTube.
Sure.
But thank you very much for all of that information, because actually the one thing that you actually, if we can't be consistent, the
Hmm.
data has to be somewhere, right?
It
I mean, and
does.
one of the big problems we've got is that we actually I mean, I don't know about you, but I have no library tagging system for my own personal life on my photos, even. So it just doesn't quite work. And if I exponentially put that into the amazing amount of like SKUs that we have in any kind of corporation, it just needs to be housed somewhere where everybody can get at it, right?
Exactly. And then what you can do with it, what you can enable your platform to do is incredible. It's endless. Once you have all of the data in one place and you know what you want to do with it and how you can present it, I mean, the sky's the limit.
So, with that, I want to thank you so much for being here with Centric. And we're going to move on to the next speaker.